Hello, welcome back to Liz&JenSpeaks. This is podcast 3, where we'll be discussing how our themes manifest in personal experience, social trends, and or current events. We're going to start off with Liz this time.
Yeah, so my theme was resilience, and I decided to talk about a personal experience that I had for an extended period of time. Basically, from the time when I was a toddler to when I was between 12 and 13, I had absence epilepsy, which is where I would have seizures of brief periods of unconsciousness. But from the outside perspective, it just looked like I was staring off into space or daydreaming.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why this was hard for me was because usually no one really assumes or is aware of the condition. So a lot of people thought I was just rude, or I remember I would get in trouble at school because the teachers assumed I was ignoring them. Yes.
Do you know what would trigger it?
Obviously, it can be like triggered by stress or stuff, but sometimes it just happens randomly.
Why does it feel like I have that? Like as a kid?
As a kid, maybe. It's more common among children. It's very rare for it to continue into adulthood. Thankfully, I stopped having it when I was 13. But who knows?
Yeah.
But I think the most defining moment was I had a seizure when I was crossing the road because I was a car rider and we had to cross the road. And so obviously there were teachers that had to walk us.
Yeah.
But they can't be next to everybody. There's only after they're kind of spaced out. And so I was kind of towards the back of the line, and I had a seizure, so I just stopped walking. Thankfully, it's a school zone, so the car was able to they stopped fine. I wasn't actually gonna be in too much of a serious danger. But that was a moment once the teachers realized that they knew they had to pay closer attention to me. So for a long time, this was a struggle, but you just kind of learn to, you have to live with it.
Yeah.
You find the way, and so I had to stay closer to people. I had to catch up. I had to catch up on a lot of work, but I just knew I had to time myself to do it in the brief periods that I didn't have seizures if I was distracted during class. I also often had to state the condition I had so that there wouldn't be any misunderstanding with new people. So I think that's a show of resilience. Eventually, you can overcome anything.
Yeah, I feel like that's when you fully oftentimes when people have things as such, I don't want to say conditions because I don't know, it's not my place to speak from. But a lot of times they find themselves having to apologize or be sorry or feel bad for what they're going through, but it's just a part of them. And then after a certain time, I feel like people truly understand hey, this is just me. I'm just gonna rock who it is, and that's completely fine. I can also relate to it because I wouldn't self-diagnose and be it was this, but I had a point in time where I just used to stare off in space, not just randomly, but in class, I had a hard time focusing. I would daydream so bad, and I wouldn't realize it. So I know how that feels because I got in trouble for it before. I remember I was I was playing. So I was in Orphan Ensemble. You remember Orphan Ensemble in Palmetto? Yeah, I was in there, right? And I was playing I forgot what I was playing. It was the big xylophones. I forgot what they're called. Bass? Is it bass xylophone?
Possibly.
Girl, this is horrible.
But I know which ones you mean.
Yeah. So this kid, he was put out in the corner, and I wasn't playing, so I was daydreaming. I was daydreaming hard. I probably was staring at him for a good 8 minutes. It's so embarrassing. So eventually, when I snapped out my daydream, I can't even remember what it was about. Sometimes I would just pause, and I'll start floating. He was when I snapped back to reality, he was just staring at me screaming why? And I was so embarrassed. I had to go up to him. I'm dude, I don't know what I was doing. I was daydreaming. I was out. So I know how it truly feels to feel that way to some degree. I can't truly speak from experience, but yeah, I this is something I can learn about.
Yeah. Then how about fear?
Oh, fear. I briefly mentioned this before in the podcast, but I feel like now I definitely got out my shell. So if you think I'm shy now, let's just go back to before. I was a complete hot mess. I didn't usually like talk to people. I kept to myself. So I think fear played a big part in my public speaking class. Our public speaking class took place last year. So it was like in my mid transition from being like an introvert to then being more of an ambivert. And bro, when I heard that we had that class, I wanted to drop out so bad. But then knowing that wasn't an option, I probably, if I could, I probably would have argued my way out of it. But when she told us like, you have no way of being out of it, and I like don't do that slick stuff where you try to stay home on days of speech because I will fail you. I knew I had to lock in. It was so bad. I was like, oh, okay, she means business. So the first speech just so happened to be my favorite thing to do, which is not talking about myself. And I was ridiculously nervous. I think when it came to like talking to Shayla about it, like I was generally shaking trying to like read the thing, and I only had to be up there for like 2 minutes, 1 minute. So I was freaking out over 2 minutes of what, just standing in front of the room and talking. So I feel like it ties back to fear because like I was deadly afraid. I think eventually I became more self-resilient, and I became more comfortable. I think my last speech, I think my fourth speech was my best, but like the character development was there. I was less nervous. I actually could say something. The most I'll say is improve on my eyesight, but like I can't even argue that I didn't do improvement because I think I definitely improved as a speaker.
Yeah, I saw improvement. Everybody, it's better when you're doing something as a group. You can see everybody moving at a similar, at the same pace.
I agree. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for podcast number 3.
All right, thanks for listening.